Everyone, David Bombal here with Network Chuck. Chuck,
Hey guys.
say hello.
Hello. Oh wow, you're doing it to me now.
I'm doing it to you now.
Hello. Buy a donkey. I don't know, something South African.
We're here with Yusuf and Joe.
Hi.
Welcome, and please
Thanks.
introduce yourselves.
Hey, thank you guys. Thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure. It was last time we met in Barcelona,
That's right.
It was interesting.
It was a
and
fantastic time. We spoke a lot about certifications and stuff.
yeah, and we kind of set the tone that there is a lot of good things coming, and here we are today. So yeah, I guess you know me from the previous podcast. I'm Yusuf Bhaiji. I manage the certifications program team. So my team is primarily responsible for the design and development and delivery of the certification program. So everything from CCNA, CCNP, CCIE, CCDA, and all the expert certifications. So yeah, it's been exciting. We have a lot to share today, a lot to cover. So it'll
Looking
be
forward to this.
Oh,
very,
man.
very
I'm
exciting.
excited.
And Joe,
Yeah, well, thank you, Yusuf. Thank you, Chuck, Dave, for having me. You don't know me. I have not been here before. I have, however, been at Cisco now for half my life, 21 years.
Wow.
Exactly
Wow,
half my
that's
life.
amazing.
You don't look very old.
I
wouldn't assume that.
A colleague of mine did a Dorian Gray painting of me that ages, so I do not.
Oh,
I work with learning at Cisco, and I come from a computer science background, so my desire, my passion with Cisco has always been around network automation and programmability.
You can feel it.
So
Wow.
I worked with the DevNet team with our own SMEs in learning at Cisco to kind of make sure that we were threading through software programmability and automation in everything we're doing with our new certification. So I'm really excited to see this launch here at Cisco
so
Live.
let's talk about that.
Okay.
So Chuck announced these big changes in the
I did.
certification.
No.
Yeah,
The big boss, Chuck Robbins. Yeah.
yeah.
So tell us more.
So let's go into that.
Sure.
So we will just start the dialogue, and Joe and I will just kind of elaborate on the different elements of the announcement.
Because there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think to set the stage first, that there is two things that happens here. One is we already have an existing portfolio for over 2 decades. So we have the certification program for 2 decades, right? And we have over 1.7 million certified individuals
That's amazing.
with over 3 million certifications. So each individual can have multiple,
yeah.
like. So you can imagine we've been around and a lot of certified individuals.
Yeah.
So in the history, at least in my professional career, in the history of Cisco certification, this is by far one of the biggest change that we have
All
done
those years. Wow.
in all those years, because we've done lots of different changes in this last 2 decades, but the magnitude of this change is at a different level. So we want to highlight what is changing in our current portfolio, which is what you guys refer it to as CCNA, CCNP, and CCIE program. And then there is another aspect to it, which is how we have evolved the program to the next level and introduced the new future technologies and automation and software developers and all that. So we want to really focus on those 2 areas, and then finally bring it together that how they complement each other, why would some engineer need to do this versus that, or somewhere in the middle, or both, and we can kind of set that stage. So with that, Joe?
So we've had 3 real guiding principles around certification, and that is agility, in that we want to track what's happening in the industry to make sure that what we're certifying people on and training people on is relevant. That leads to them getting value out of the certification, and their employers getting value out of them as certified individuals. And finally, that then leads to them being able to demonstrate leadership for their organization and in the industry. With what we've done with what Yusuf was talking about in our new certification portfolio that we launched, even more so. Now we've streamlined the certifications. We've created more modularity. That adds more agility. That allows people to create that tailored journey for themselves that Yusuf was talking about. That, therefore, they get more value out of the certification because it means something more to them, because if they were able to say, this is what I'm an expert in, this is what I'm doing, or this is the job that I want to get. Yeah. And finally, then that also gives them more leadership opportunities, because now they're getting the certifications they want that make them look like that technologist and give them that additional value to their employers. So that's kind of how we tailored the program to give it that more effectiveness towards the certified community.
Well, that makes
Absolutely.
more sense. It's been like super hard to keep up with
Yeah.
how fast technology changes.
And the modularity allows us to rev things, to add new concentration certifications, or to modify things as we see fit without having to change everything about like the core technology that's relevant in our technology tracks.
And another way to put that is previously in our current portfolio, things were very monolithic in terms of the swim lane. So if you started a journey in a particular technology, you had to continue growing that same kind of line. And if you decided to swap or change, there was really not much flexibility. So this new program really gives you that agility, flexibility in terms of how you can practically build your own certification and your own customized profile, which is applicable to whatever job role you are into. And you don't need to boil the ocean. You don't need to do everything, because that was another thing, one size fits all type thing.
Right.
We are kind of moving away from that mantra and saying, no, one size does not fit all in terms of customization. And we really need to make sure that we provide those choices. And give, and at the same time also maintain that level of rigor and standard to make sure that every engineer also has some foundational knowledge that is at par at a certain threshold. So we had to kind of continue doing both of that.
I mean, the more I hear about this, the more I think it was a massive job to try and keep current people happy with the path of migrating to the new certification, but then also adding all these extra components.
Yes. In particular, we wanted to recognize that technologies, and you saw the slide Chuck put up with the existing logos and certification logos and the new DevNet logos. In particular, as a company, we wanted to make sure we were emphasizing the software and programmability skills, and we were giving people opportunities to learn about those and use that learning to apply for continuing education to keep their certifications fresh. And at the same time, to your point, we needed to make sure that we could bring people that are currently certified along, give them equivalency, let them know that their credentials aren't going away. We're giving them credit. We're reflecting their great accomplishments. And then by giving them more of these opportunities to learn, those will keep their certifications fresh, give them new opportunities to get even more credentials, new credentials, as they explore some of these new technology spaces.
Yeah. And that's a key point, Joe, because that was absent today,
Yep.
that while they were working towards their journey, and we spoke about the journey last time, that, well, certification is a journey. It takes people 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, depending what they are. And currently what happened is if they passed one exam, which was a part of their journey, they didn't get value out of it. Although the knowledge, they had the knowledge and the skills, but from a job perspective or from market perspective, they couldn't demonstrate the value of it.
I've been there, that's rough.
Yeah.
So we're talking about like a CCNP. If you only get route.
Yeah,
you
so
still got 2 more,
imagine,
you haven't
so
got any
today if you
recognition.
did a route exam,
Yeah.
you just get a score report,
Yeah,
no
you're
value.
like, yes, I passed.
But
2
then that's
more.
pretty much 2 more to go. But now with this new, what we call incremental recognition or on as you go recognition, we will provide specialist certification for each and every exam that they take. So that's how we have baked in this modularity, that they can still get value out of it, like Joe was saying, and the leadership, but also that recognition for them.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, so this is like the why. Any more reasons why the big change now?
We just saw that it was now was the time with the influx of these software skills. And it's not just about, I mean, this program allows us down the road to look at things like data science, ML, AI, all of these things that are now buzzwordy, that as they become more mainstream, it's easier for us to fold this in. So we saw that the velocity of technology really needs us to be more fluid in how we're testing. So
Yeah, that's always a problem when you're training courses. Like we were saying this before. If I'm training a course, then students might say, well, this stuff's like 2 generations behind, or it's quite old. So this is like fantastic that you can bring the new stuff in quickly.
trying to keep up with the new stuff,
Because of that modular approach, right? But like Joe said before, it was kind of too single size and monolithic, and now it's all modular, compartmentalized, and we can keep, like a Lego block, we keep building on top of, and when something is retired or end of life, you remove it, you replace it, and keep changing it.
So can we talk like a little bit more like the technical pieces to this? So CCNA, what I've been told, there's only one CCNA now. Can you kind of give us like a high-level overview of the certifications and
Sure. I'll start with CCNA, and we'll tag team here. So yes, the CCNA, we created a new CCNA. It's not a converged or a unified CCNA. It's new, and we went to the industry, went to employers, we went to people out there hiring network engineers at the associate level, and we said, what is it that you want in that engineer? And many of them said, well, they're going really deep in one area right now, but they haven't necessarily seen or had exposure or experience in the network yet. What we really want from that engineer is someone who's familiar with a broader set of concepts, of modern networking concepts, a little bit of the route and the switch, a little bit of the virtualization in the data center, security, wireless, programmability, automation, some of the foundational skills there, so they can come into the network. They're not scared of these concepts. They're not foreign. They've heard about them. And there's still some practicality to that test, quite a bit actually, so that they can do things. They can hit the ground running, and they can pivot to whatever area the organization needs, so they can start to build experience, see what they like, see what they're good at, what their passion is, and then as they move forward in their career into the professional, into the expert, then they can start to go deep in those specific technologies that they really like and that there's really a need for them.
Now, forgive me for saying this, but it kind of, because we are talking about Cisco certifications, but it kind of sounds like the Network Plus a little bit. Because it goes wider than it typically used to go, right? It goes wider than it typically needs to go, but it's still giving you practical. It's grounding you in practical around the Cisco network. What I meant by that is it sounds better. Where the Network Plus before, the only thing it had going for it was that it gave you a wide breadth of information. But now the CCNA gives you that, and a practical step to go deeper with that as well. And it gives you what we would consider to be what the majority of the associate engineers are going to see when they step into that network. So they have those skills that make them practical, make them more valuable in a wider variety of modern network environments.
Yeah, I think
that's huge.
I think Joe summarized it well enough. All I can add is kind of echo that sentiment, in the sense that the way the future is evolving, there is so much demand in from a skill set standpoint and a variety of different skill set. So it is not really at that early age when the engineers start their career in IT, maybe 1 year or 2 year, or even fresh graduates like out of college. They really don't know. It's like the college, right? When you start something, you know I want to do engineering, but how far do you want to go? Mechanical, electrical, and there are so many subdivisions in mechanical, electrical. So in the first one semester, 2 semesters, you're getting yourself introduced to all the different ways of doing things, and then you choose your specialty. So CCNA, like now the new CCNA, that is what it is, that we are going to set that foundation kind of stone, and from there the community can decide, okay, where do I want to branch out now? And that was missing today. I mean, it was not missing, but it was kind of spread out in different CCNAs. And then
you go to CCNA.
And CCNA route switch or CCNA security or the programmability course or something. It was kind of spread out.
I've heard it said kind of like they just moved it up a notch, or you guys moved up a notch. Instead of like the associate level, you're at the professional level when you decide where you want to go.
Yes.
All right, so Yusuf and Joe, can you give us like a high-level overview of the whole new certification track from CCNA to CCIE? What is going on here?
So we explained about the CCNA and we said like how things are changing and evolving in terms of CCNA, and we are going to create the single exam, product, which is the new CCNA. And one thing I want to emphasize, that even today at Cisco Live, some people were asking me questions, and they were really comparing the old CCNA format with the new CCNA. And I was kind of politely telling them that, look, please don't compare the old and new, because it's like apple and orange, right? Because it's a new product, it's a new CCNA. If you're going to compare the blueprints, you will not understand the goal and the purpose of the new CCNA. The new CCNA is a new brand, is a new program for a specific target audience. And from there, we are kind of branching into the CCNP program, which is where now we are even evolving the CCNP program, how we did that in the past. So with that CCNA introduction.
Yeah, with the new CCNP. So before, and we mentioned it earlier. You mentioned about what if I just pass route? Oh, got 2 more to go. I got to get switch.
Demoralizing. Yeah.
So some CCNPs today were 3, some were 4. I think data center had a choice in there in its CCNP. What we've done is want to simplify and streamline that across all our tracks. So now we have 5 technology tracks. We have enterprise, service provider, data center, collaboration, and security. Each one of those has a what we call a technology core exam, and that core exam is brings you up to speed with the concepts in that technology space and goes further and deeper to say every engineer who considers themselves either a professional or expert in this space, this is what they need to know. Regardless of how deep they go into additional things, what we call concentrations or what they do with their what they pick in their CCI lab, this is the core set of foundational skills in that technology space they need to know.
Oh, I love that because you're establishing that baseline. Like
exactly.
If you're going to work with Cisco stuff, you're going to know some routing and switching.
Yep,
you're going to know it.
You're going to know routing and switch. Like an enterprise, you're going to know routing and switching. You're going to have to know some wireless. I mean, how many people have an enterprise network with no wireless today? I don't see a lot of people sitting along the walls anymore plugged in. They plug in for power now. They don't plug in for Ethernet. So you need to know wireless.
Is one core across for all of them, or is it separate cores?
It's a core per technology track. So we have 5 tracks. We have 5 technology cores.
Okay, different cores.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are different cores across what those engineers need to know in that space. Now, though some network fundamentals will be the same in all of them, but then they go deeper in specific areas for those technology tracks. So the NP takes that. They also then need to choose one of a list of concentrations in that same technology track. They pass that, their CCNP for that technology track. And they can do the core and the concentration in any order they want.
Interesting.
So, and both of them will give them a Cisco Certified Specialist badge. So let's go back to Enterprise. I take the CCNP Enterprise Core. I become a Cisco Certified Specialist Enterprise Core. Then I take my concentration, say in automation and programmability. I get a specialist for that. The sum of the two gives me that CCNP as well. So I will walk away with at least 3 badges, 3 logos, 3 certifications out of that.
So that's great. So just to hop on this, because I want to make sure I understand this, because I wasn't clear from what I saw before.
Yeah, I was kind of confused as well.
If I was going to do like security, there's a security core.
Correct.
Yep.
And a security
concentration.
Set of security concentrations. You just need to pick one based, like, for example, firepower. If you're the one working on firepower and next generation firewall, you might pick that concentration. That might be what you do. You do that with that technology core, your CCNP security.
Yeah, I mean, and another way to explain that is what we were saying earlier, one size fits all. We are moving away from it. Today, to become CCNP security, you had to take 4 exams or 3 exams and do everything, whether firepower or ICE or VPN.
Even if you didn't care about it, your company didn't use it.
So now it is more relevant to the person, to the individual, that if you are just in the business of firewall or your job role is dictating that, we don't want you to take the VPN exam, right? You only take the firepower. However, the technology core, so there are 2 exams, right? So one thing, let's get clear, the new CCNP program is 2 exams.
Yes.
Instead of 3.
Yeah, so some CCNP have 3, some had 4.
Yeah,
right.
Points, sorry, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that is changing, and we are simplifying that into 2 exams, of which one, as Joe explained, is the core exam. And core is that common body of knowledge that regardless of who you are as a security engineer, whether you're a firepower guy or VPN or ICE, there is a common body of knowledge that every security engineer should know.
Okay.
Similarly, in collaboration, regardless of which specialization you want to be, there is a common set of knowledge we want you to know. So that's what the core exam does. The technology core within each track is that common body of knowledge across all. So if you are a CCNP security, I am a CCNP security, what do we have in common? That's the technology core. But then your second exam, which is the concentration, you could have taken the firewall exam. I could have taken the VPN exam. And as we said, the incremental recognition helps you that you have your own specialist certification badge for firepower. I have my specialist certification for VPN. Plus, we both have the CCNP security logo. So
That's
it's
great.
very customized,
Yep.
very
That's great.
flexible, and very modular.
That's
And
Because
you
we were
can
concerned, about
Yeah.
there's just CCNP. What's the difference between this CCNP and this CCNP? But you've made it very clear now because there's a specific core and then a special concentration.
And
Sorry, you were saying.
that concentration comes with that specialist certification. So on your LinkedIn page, wherever you want to reflect, you have that to say, oh, I'm all CCNP security, but my expertise, my specific security expertise, Cisco Certified Specialist VPN implementation is an
That's
example.
amazing.
So
Yeah.
you have that additional credential there.
Now, I'm sorry, David, but are the specialists, are any of those exams shared between the other tracks, or are they all unique?
They are all unique between tracks, but every track has an automation and programmability concentration that's specific for that track. And what's unique about that one is that concentration double counts in both the network engineer realm for like the CCNP and in the DevNet realm for the software developer to get your Cisco certified DevNet professional as well. So that means that if, let's say I said I like network programmability, let's say I get my CCNP Enterprise with my concentration in automation and programmability for Enterprise. Then all I would need to do, if I found myself being more of that software developer type person, I would go and take my DevNet core, because DevNet will have a technology core as well. I am now also a Cisco certified DevNet professional.
I like it.
And
Very
I call
modular.
call that double dip.
Double
concept.
dipping. Yep.
Oh, I like it.
Because that's how we give you that elasticity, that flexibility, that more mileage in your kind of investment in learning and training and upskilling. Because if you have learned something, we don't want you to take over and over again. It should count where applicable. So that was a good example that, well, it counts towards your CCNP Enterprise. Why can't it count for your DevNet Professional certification?
I like it's like you don't have to bite this huge chunk off.
Yeah, you
It's
don't
like
make a
smaller bites.
U-turn
Yeah.
and come all the way from
Yeah.
the start point.
Exactly.
Because I
That's
mean,
what-
the CCNA isn't a prerequisite.
It is
No,
not a
that's the
prerequisite,
other thing, yeah.
exactly.
Just
So
jump straight to it.
even
So if I need to learn about firepower, but I have nothing, I can just jump straight to firepower.
yes,
And
yeah,
become
and get a
firepower.
specialist
Yeah.
for firepower.
That's
Exactly.
so
Great.
cool.
Yeah.
And the
That's
Cisco,
awesome.
that is what we want to message here, that the specialist certification is a standalone certification of its own. Regardless of your journey into CCNP or CCIE, you
great.
can just choose to collect a bunch of specialists.
I like the way you say that, collect, because people are going to be collecting these like
Yeah.
trading cards.
I mean, because they want to showcase.
Love
Because
pogs.
we are all geeks, right? We want to showcase our expertise, and we want to show what I can bring value to the organization or to whatever job role I am. So I can take multiple exams, and it could be cross, right? You were talking about are the exams within the pool or not? Shared. So although even they are not shared, but there is an advantage that you may have taken a VPN specialist. You got a specialist certification. You could also take the SD-WAN exam, or you could take an ACI exam, which is Data Center Enterprise Security, 3 different tracks. Today, there were 3 different CCNP. You did nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
You didn't get CCNP Data Center. You didn't get CCNP Route Switch. You didn't get CCNP Security.
Yeah.
Right.
But now, what you do, you picked one module from the pool of security, one module from pool of data center, one module from pool of enterprise. You got 3 specialist
That's great.
certification.
That's great.
That's
And
that's
then it's
amazing.
your choice if you want to take the technology core and complete your journey.
But what I also really like about this is you've made it like incremental, so there's an incentive to
Yeah.
just do one more exam and then I get something else.
Yeah.
Rather
Exactly.
than I've got this long journey.
Exactly.
Like your CCNP example I love is like you
Yeah,
take the
it
long
took me,
journey.
it took me forever.
Yeah.
That was probably part of the reason. I didn't get my CCNP because I had to complete 3 massive
Yeah.
exams.
Yeah.
It was,
There's
gosh.
always light at the end of the tunnel. You
Exactly.
always see
Yeah.
the next step, and and that the whole incremental carries from NA, getting that one exam, to NP where you have the 2 exams but the specialists as well, and then we'll also see that also carries into IE as well.
So can you talk about the IE?
Sure. Yeah, so that technology core we talked about,
Yeah.
this is what I talk about, the incremental nature of it. That technology core is now the written exam portion of the IE.
Oh, wow. So there's no like written now.
There is no
No, no.
more dedicated IE written anymore. The technology
Joe,
core.
if I may interrupt
Oh,
you,
yeah.
the way I said it slightly differently, because people may confuse, there is no more
Right.
written.
There,
Oh,
There is
okay.
still a written,
there is
but
still
it's
a
a
written.
new
It's this,
product.
yes.
It's a new product.
Yeah.
Some people were confusing the written that we have eliminated. Written, written as a written exam is a product. we have killed that, we will retire that. But it is going to be replaced with this new technology core exam, which does different things, and Joe will explain that. What is that power that we have embedded, and how we are giving that choice and flexibility by doing what we just said.
But essentially, you're saying that if I pass the technology core exam, I'm halfway to CCIE.
You are. I mean, halfway in terms of number of exams, but there's still
number of exams. But in the skill set, maybe it's debatable. Yes. But halfway to CCNP for sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
So you take the technology core, and the technology core, we looked at what we needed at that each one of those technology levels for both the professional and the expert. What is that common foundational set? Not that we've, some people say dumb down the written. No, we have not. This technology core is a rigorous exam that will give you that foundational skill set and knowledge in your technology space.
Actually, it's the opposite, right?
Yeah, we increased it.
We increased the knowledge.
Right.
Because not only NP, but the CCIE written used to focus only on conceptual elements.
Right.
But technology core now goes into the implementation and troubleshoot and simulations and all of that.
Yep. If you look at the blueprints online, the verbs we chose are things like configure, implement, construct. So there's a lot of action there. And then once you pass that, then you have a choice. So let's say you and I are both same spot. We want to do enterprise. We both take the technology core, we pass. I'm thinking I'm probably more at the professional level. You're thinking, no, I've done a lot. I'm going to go for the lab. You can go for the lab. I can go for a concentration. We both will ultimately end up with I'll be CCNP, you pass, you'll be CCIE. Or I could say, you know what, I'm going to start with my CCNP. So I'll go and get the concentration, get the CCNP, and then take another step without having to go back and take another written exam, and I can move towards the lab to get my CCIE.
That's interesting. So is the gap pretty big, though? If I have a CCNP core and I try to do the lab, how much more stuff? I mean, obviously the lab is always harder, but the knowledge gap, is it pretty big?
Well, first of all, we want to call it the technology core. So it is not just CCNP. It's for both NP and IE. The gap will be around experience. So if you look at the new lab component, we are holistically looking at the life cycle now. So yes, there's implement. Yes, there's operate. Yes, there's optimize. Now there's also low-level design. How do we... Always someone's going to go to the IE and go, how would you do this? Or how would you implement that? And that IE needs to know how to apply technology, how to think about the problem and what is the right technology solution. So the gap is going to be, can I build that experience? Can I look at can I break things? Can I do bad design? Can I learn what the good design is? That's going to be time to learn what the right approach is so that they can sit and think through the 3-hour design module in the new CCI lab and think through that critically to come up with those right answers before they go into the new 5-hour second module, which is the implement, operate, and optimize. So the gap really isn't necessarily difficulty as much as it is, I mean, they're certainly going to be hard, but as much as it gaining that experience and that wisdom and that kind of maturity then to go and sit for the lab.
And the other angle to that is, what I always explain it, is the individual technologies versus inter-networking.
Yes.
So I always remind people the acronym CCNP versus CCIE. If you look at the third letter of the acronym, CCNP is Cisco Certified Network Professional. Network. Yeah. CCIE says Cisco Certified Internetworking. So when you are taking technologies individually, so again going back to firepower or VPN, those examples, you may be very good, very expert, deep dive into an individual technology and you are a specialist, but CCIE Lab is more about how those technology integrate together. And they can break each other. They demand different integrations, and that is where the challenge comes in. That how you kind of piece them together in the lab.
So can I talk about the lab?
Sure.
So you mentioned there's a design component.
Yes.
Sorry,
because I really want to emphasize another thing before we move to CCIE.
No worries, go for it. Go.
On the CCNP side, Joe gave a good example that let's say you both are at a point in your career and you want to take the CCIE and you want to do CCNP. This whole program, the evolution, we have thought in very through that how to give value. Like those were the three principles Joe mentioned: agility, value, and leadership, right? The way you can still keep your end goal as CCIE, right? So let's say that's where your eyes are. You want to get your end goal, but as you're progressing through it, you will study, you will learn. So let's say you're pursuing CCIE security, you will learn firewall, you will learn VPN. Right. So as Joe mentioned, that flexibility allows you could both have taken the technology core, and he took one concentration and become CCNP, but you decided to take the lab. Unless you're comfortable that you are thoroughly experienced in all those technologies, you would not be successful in the lab. But my point is, if you think you are halfway comfortable or three-quarter way, my suggestion is, why not also build your profile and take those individual exams, concentration, and build your profile, because you still need to get a job, you need to be competitive, you need to differentiate your resume with others. Why wait another 1 year, calendar year, or 2 years to pass your lab? Please take the concentration, get that recognition while your goal is still the lab.
Yeah,
that's
getting
amazing.
recognition along the path.
Yeah, you have a huge incentive. So it's
steps.
So it's expected that you have the knowledge of all of those specializations before you go for CCIE.
And that would solidify your knowledge, because then once you have all those individual technology components, whether it's enterprise or Collab DC, you will feel more comfortable going in the lab. Well prepared in the lab, rather than give it trial and error and hit and run. Because some people come in and they get disappointed. I have seen in the CCIE when I was proctoring, they come into lab 2 hours, 3 hours into the exam. They are like, oh man, I didn't expect this. They literally walk out, and I joke with them. I say, hey, just have a free lunch. You paid for it, you know.
Have an expensive lunch.
Very expensive lunch.
Now with this new modularity, new flexibility, at least they can gauge themselves through the journey, collect all those specialist certification, and then when they know ultimately I'm ready, why waste time when you're not ready, and do it right? You know?
Save money.
That's killer.
It's a great idea. So in the CCIE lab, you mentioned there's design portion.
Yes.
Can you just tell us, like, in a high level, what are the different components? Like
2 modules.
Yep.
2 modules in each of the tracks. One will be 3 hours of design, scenario based. The other module, 5 hours, implement, operate, optimize.
Troubleshoot?
That'll be part of the operate.
Operate,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Operate,
Because when
optimize.
you operate the network, you're troubleshooting and all that.
And a little bit of implement you'll have to troubleshoot. I've mistyped a command before and stood there for a while, or sat there thinking, why doesn't this work?
Exactly.
And so you do a little bit of troubleshooting there. There's also a commonality in all of this. We're folding automation and programmability into all of the IEs. So you will have to know, like, how do I configure something with netconf, as an example, on a device? Not just how do I do it with CLI or RESTconf or an API, if in that track there is a different type of API, in order to programmatically configure.
And that's another point you asked earlier about what is the delta, how far is it CCNP and CCIE? So again, going to that point is, now that if you think all of this together, design, implement, operate, optimize, programmability, automation, all the technologies, it becomes a monster.
Yep.
Yes, it does.
And then that is where you show your true experience. And experience is something you cannot learn in a classroom. It comes with practice. It comes with your field experience. And then you can demonstrate your skills and in the lab, that you can kind of, understand all of that.
That's fascinating.
I've got one question, and
Sure.
then I think we should wrap it up.
Copy that.
What happened to CCDA? What happened to the design track?
So the design track, so CCNA, the new CCNA, there'll be a migration. If you have the CCDA, you'll get a credential, a badge that indicates that you've taken some design elements, or I believe ARC was the test at that level. So get some credit for that accomplishment. At the professional level, we have concentrations in some of the tracks that are design focused. In particular, the CCDP. Did I say that right? Yes.
Yes.
DP will migrate to a CCNP enterprise, with a specialist in enterprise design, a concentration specialist in enterprise design. And throughout all of the tracks, as we progress, this is not just a one and done for us. We're going to continue to add concentrations. We'll look at the life cycle of implement, operate, design, optimize, and we'll start adding concentrations that meet, say, design in collaboration, as well as in where it's applicable in other tracks.
Yeah, and that's what that whole modularity is about at the CCNP level, that we did not want that one size fits all. We want modularity. So like you said, design collaboration, design wireless, design enterprise, design security. So if you really want it to be designed, CCDP was very generic, very one size. It was not going into individual technology verticals. So for us, instead of branching CCDE 5 times and saying CCDP security, CCDP routing, CCDP collab, we have changed the whole paradigm and now went with this concentration model. And if you're a design consultant, you will still get the CCNP Enterprise or CCNP Security, but you choose your second exam, the design exam.
I have to be honest, that does make more sense.
And that's a specialist,
It's a specialist, right? So you still get that recognition and your CCNP.
Oh, wow.
But remember, that again, modularity of the job role is at the CCNP level. At the CCIE, it's mandate. It's not a choice.
That's a good point.
You are required to understand and demonstrate design skills, implement skills, operate skills, optimize. That's the difference between CCNP as a program and CCIE as a program.
But is it still CCDE?
CCDE, yes. Right now we haven't made any changes at this time to the DE, so the DE and architect programs are still there.
Okay, so even February 23rd, 24th, it's still going to be a thing. You can still test on that and everything else.
Yeah, and CCD, and another way I can explain is, some people asked me today morning that, well, you are adding design in the CCIE, so then how does that make any difference from the CCD? Well, it is different because CCD fundamentally was high level across the board to get the business needs and translate it into solutions. It was very broad and very high level, like what we call in technical terms HLD, and designing the high-level designs and stuff and doing ROIs and all that. And now with that thing is handed over to a CCIE guy, and he goes into the LLD, the low-level design, and he does all this, goes closer to the solution and does all the design components and the implementation side of the thing. So they still have what we call applied design and the high-level design.
Perfect.
This is fantastic, but there's always going to be more questions. Where can people go to get more information?
Yeah, and that's a good one because there is so much to consume, so many questions answered, and there's a lot of website, a lot of material that we have, collateral that we have developed. So the one link that I would point people to is cisco.com/next level. Next level being one word. So I'll repeat that. cisco.com/next level. You go to that landing page. There are lots of information, lots of collateral, FAQs, at a glance documents. So for each and individual track, CCNA, CCNP, CCIE, we have at a glance PDFs, we have the FAQs. So please spend some time on this website and learn all the changes.
That's fantastic.
For those of you who can't wait for the movie, you go there, and you don't have to. You'll get all you'll get all the teasers and trailers you need.
Absolutely.
I like that.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for the high-level overview. Again, if you want to see more, you know where to go. Links below. And we'll continue these discussions. So thanks, Joe. Thanks, Yusuf.
Our pleasure.
This stuff's amazing. I know you want to hear more, so we will have more. Keep watching. Stay tuned.